I am really shocked by the way some unpatriotic Nigerians have gone on social media, misrepresenting IshowSpeed's visit to Nigeria and using it to project a negative image of their very own country, while attempting to spoil what was a good narrative of a very successful visit. First of all, IshowSpeed never said or implied that Nigeria is smelly. The young man perhaps achieved his most successful stream during his African tour in Nigeria, reaching a milestone of 50 million YouTube subscribers whilst in our dearly beloved country. He is the first black streamer to achieve that milestone, and it occurred in Nigeria, boosted by Nigerian subscribers appreciative of his visit. What these few unpatriotic Nigerians, who have a grudge against their own country, fed by a separatist agenda, have done is take a screenshot of a particular stream where Mr. Darren Jason Watkins Jr. made a face for a few seconds, which he often does all over the world, upon citing something interesting and peculiar. Using that snapshot, they painted a false narrative claiming that Lagos is smelly and that Darren Jason Watkins Jr., aka IshowSpeed, did not enjoy his time there and found nothing interesting or cultural to do. Sadly, their claims have gone wildly viral. In fact, as evidenced by his streams and media coverage, IshowSpeed had perhaps the most eventful moments of his Speed Does Africa tour in Nigeria, which is why he chose to spend his 21st birthday in our country. He drew his biggest crowds here and was so impressed by that he testified about it. He had gastronomical and cultural experiences, including visiting Freedom Park and eating the world-famous Nigerian jollof rice, which he raved about. Thereafter, he had a belated Dirty December moment by interacting with street dancers in a carnival-like manner, and had intermittent encounters and conversations with street performers, including a man whose physical strength he celebrated after attempting and failing to match his iron-bending skills. IshowSpeed also enjoyed Nigerian couture when he got to wear the special Nigerian hat, known as a fila, made in Nigeria entirely from made-in-Nigeria fabric. Something that I have been promoting worldwide. His decision to blend in culturally with Nigerians through fashion made him so excited that he asked street vendors and onlookers whether he looked Nigerian. And on his 21st birthday, IshowSpeed was surrounded by schoolchildren in their school uniforms, singing the famous Happy Birthday song to him, almost bringing him to tears. At Freedom Park, IshowSpeed interacted with various Lagos street performers, who taught the quick learner several dance steps particularly suited to the Nigerian music genre of Afrobeats that has taken the world by storm. IshowSpeed then visited the Nike Art Gallery in Lekki, where the management feted him and gifted him a traditional Lukumi Yoruba outfit, which left him in awe. Mr. Watkins next met Afrobeat singer Zlatan Ibile, who surprised him with a birthday cake, prompting IshowSpeed to shockingly reveal that that was the first birthday cake he had ever received. Hard to believe, his time in Nigeria has become one of the most discussed pop culture moments of the year so far, and he was so pleased with Nigeria that one of the first things Abubakar Malami, a former Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation who was in office from November 2015 till May 2023 when the then President Muhammadu Buhari completed his 8 years tenure in office, under which courts of competent jurisdiction granted several detained Nigerians bail, but the Buhari government refused to release them and even rearrested some of them after they had perfected their bail conditions. The then Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, who was saddled with the responsibility of protecting citizens' rights, came out openly and apparently justified the violations of court orders by the then Buhari-led government, and during the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, Abubakar Malami frequently defended the actions of the government's refusal to obey court's orders of bail granted to high-profile individuals by asserting that national security and public interest superseded individual rights. Some of the high-profile individuals included Colonel Sambo Dasuki, the former National Security Advisor in the era of President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, who was held for 4 years from December 2015 to December 2019, despite being granted bail by at least 4 different Nigerian high courts and the ECOWAS court. He was repeatedly rearrested by the Department of State Services, DSS, immediately after fulfilling bail conditions, Sheikh Ibrahim El-Zakaki and his wife Zina, detained from December 2015 until they were released in July 2021, were refused bail after federal court declared the detention illegal in 2016 and ordered their release by January 2017, but the government under which Abubakar Malami was a justice minister did not comply, until they were eventually acquitted of all charges by a Kaduna State High Court in 2021. Also, Omiyele Sowore, an activist and a journalist who is the founder of Sahara Reporters News Media, remained in DSS custody for several months in 2019 despite fulfilling bail conditions set by Justice Ijeoma Ojukwu. He was rearrested within the courtroom just 24 hours after a temporary release. Nnamdi Kanu, the convicted and jailed indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB leader, was refused bail during his initial trial in 2015. President Buhari then publicly stated during a media chat that Kanu, among others, would not be allowed to go on bail due to the nature of their alleged crimes, despite court rulings. In addition, was Navy Captain Dada Labinjo, who was detained by the Nigeria military from September 2018 until at least late 2019. Despite a federal high court order for his release, and during these periods, Abubakar Malami provided several justifications for these detentions. Most notably during his 2019 ministerial screening, Malami stated that the office of the AGF is meant to protect the public interest, and, where the individual interest conflicts with the public interest, the interest of 180 million Nigerians must naturally prevail. He cited the Supreme Court case of Asari Dokubo versus Federal Republic of Nigeria, arguing, it established that national security could supersede personal liberty in specific contexts, and when Dasuki and Sowore were finally released in December 2019, Nigeria military authority has confirmed the death of 5 soldiers and 1 police officer in an ambush launched by terrorists on Monday at Gidan Wagni area of Zamfara state. The incident may be a reminder of incessant cases of high rates of Nigeria losing its soldiers and other security operatives in ambush, especially as observed as a worsening situation in the year 2025, with the ambush of army barracks and killing of the men of the Armed Forces of Nigeria, AFN, by terrorists in large number began as early as January 2025. It may be recalled that in January 2025, terrorists launched an attack on the 149 Battalion in Malam Fatori, Borno State, leading to the killing of over 20 military personnel, including a battalion commander and senior officers. Within the first quarter, a careful review of news reports showed that more than 100 Nigeria soldiers were reportedly killed in the first quarter of 2025 by terrorists, mostly in ambush. In June 2025, terrorists' attacks on 3 army bases in central and northwestern Nigeria resulted in the killing of at least 17 soldiers. And in September 2025, a major ambush on the Baga-Maiduguri road was reported, where at least 40 soldiers were killed and 65 went missing. While in October 2025, at least 4 soldiers were killed in a Boko Haram ambush in Borno State, while another encounter in Kumshe resulted in 1 soldier killed, and by November 2025, the Nigerian army confirmed the death of Brigadier General Musa Uba and 2 other soldiers following an ambush by ISWAP terrorists near Wajiroko town in Borno State, which some local media reported that several soldiers were killed during the ambush. Even some of the local media stated that those who escaped the ambush, like the Brigadier General, were traced and killed by the terrorists apparently after hours of no rescue or prompt reinforcement by the Nigeria military authority. According to Captain David Adewusi, the media information officer of Operation Fansanyama, the 5 soldiers and the police officer were killed while the troops were returning from a successful operation and responding to a distress call of terrorists' attack in a community in Zamfara state. In his words, Captain David Adewusi said, "Troops of Operation Fansanyama, OPFY, Joint Task Force Northwest, have demonstrated exceptional bravery, professionalism, and resilience following a terrorist ambush along the Bingi-Kekan-Waje-Gusau Road in Zamfara State on the 19th of January 2026. The ambush followed a series of successful offensive operations conducted from 17th to the 19th of January 2026, when troops of Sector 2 OPFY, in conjunction with the OPFY Mobile Strike Team and DIA Tactical Support Team, carried out coordinated raids, ambushes, and fighting patrols across Bernan Magaji and Anchor areas of Zamfara State. During these operations, 3 suspects, Isio Kwakwatawa, Ibrahim Dan Musulu, and Makau Lambagoma, were arrested, while 4 terrorists were neutralized and others fled into the forest. Items recovered included 1 PKT machine gun, 5 AK-47. Peter Obi, the former Anambra State Governor and last presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the Nigeria 2023 general elections, has insisted that the 3 brothers among the 12 persons that died as a result of fire that engulfed the 25-story building of Great Nigeria Insurance House Plaza at Balogun Market in Lagos Island on Christmas Eve, called for help for days with no emergency response from the government under the leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, saying, the 3 siblings, Mr. Stephen Onyeka Omatu aged 40, Mr. Casimir Nabuka Omatu aged 39, and Mr. Collins Kenechukwu Omatu aged 37, for days, sent distressing pleas for help while trapped in the building, yet there were no emergency services to rescue them. Several days passed in the rubble before their bodies were finally recovered, several days of unanswered calls, of a system that failed them at the moment they needed it most. Peter Obi made this statement after attending the burial ceremony of the 3 siblings held at Uzokwa community in Ihiala local government area of Anambra State on Wednesday, after Lagos State Government through the Office of the Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Benga Omatoso, in a statement issued on January 1, 2026 stated that as soon as the fire alarm was received on the day, the government deployed teams of first responders to the scene, including the Lagos State Fire and Rescue Service, Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, Lagos State Ambulance Services, security agencies, and other emergency and safety units, but this statement from the Lagos State Government appears not to be in line with an eyewitness account, a resident who spoke with News Central Television at the scene of the fire incident, that a phone call was made across to a fire service in Lagos State, but the fire service demanded 30 million naira service fee before the fire service would respond to the emergency issue. The resident added that if the fire service had responded on time, the entire building would have been saved, probably with no life lost, because the fire was only at a single floor when the fire service was called. According to Punch newspaper, the 3 siblings died after being trapped inside the burning high-rise building in Lagos, an incident that shocked residents and reignited concerns over fire safety and emergency response in the country. According to family sources, the intensity of the inferno made rescue efforts impossible, and only ashes were recovered for burial. The burial brought grief and sorrow to Ihiala community, with residents praying that their souls find rest and that their family finds strength to pass through this trying time. After the burial, emotions ran high as the young wives of the deceased, family members, friends, schoolmates, and sympathizers gathered to bid a painful farewell. Some attendees, dressed in black and carrying posters of the 3 siblings, wept openly, struggling to come to terms with the tragedy that sent shock waves across the community. Punch Online had reported on January 7th that the fire started on the 4th floor and spread to the 6th before engulfing the remaining floors and adjoining structures. A detached section of the plaza, estimated at about 7 floors high, collapsed during the inferno. Inspector General of Police, IGP Kayode Egbetoken, for days now has refused to speak or deliberately kept mum after a well-known founder of a private organization, Harrison Gwamnashu, who have been assisting Nigeria's security operatives with credible and reliable intelligence information that have led to the killing and arrest of several kidnappers, in a video statement on Saturday revealed the complicit of the Nigeria police force in aiding and trying to cover up a reasonable suspect behind the kidnapping of a couple in the late days of November 2025 at Avili community in the Etsiko West local government area of Edo State. And the reasonable suspect happened to be the younger brother of the man who was kidnapped alongside his wife, which, the kidnappers only set free the wife after a sting operational ransom money of 20 million nairas was given to the kidnappers, with the reasonable suspect fully aware of all arrangements of the top-secret security plans of Harrison Gwamnashu, but decided to make the sensitive security information public even when his elder brother is still held captive by the kidnappers. The reasonable suspect, in a TikTok video live streaming, admitted that he was actually among the people arrested by soldiers over an issue. The reasonable suspect refused to state. The reasonable suspect, among others, were handed over to the Nigeria police force for the continuation of investigation and possible prosecution, but, according to Harrison Gwamnashu, immediately police noticed he was able to recognize the reasonable suspect as a family member who was aware of his security plans, and he was also the one that helped deliver the money to the kidnappers in the bush. An order within the police authority came, and the reasonable suspect was set free immediately, while others arrested alongside the reasonable suspect were remanded to prison. That aside, Harrison Gwamnashu, in an exclusive interview with TVC television station made available to the public by the broadcast media on Sunday night, indicated that the Nigeria police force had all the opportunities and chances to rescue the remaining kidnapped victims, but the police deliberately refused to go into the bush, with the police saying that the kind of intelligence information he had provided is an archaic style of intelligence gathering. This, according to Harrison Gwamnashu, forced him to show the police video evidences of how his style of intelligence has aided successful offensive operation against kidnappers, but all his explanations went on deaf ears. Even when for days, the tracking devices he added to the special money he mixed with the original money given to the kidnappers as ransom was still showing the exact location of the kidnappers and other useful information that could have enabled the police mobilize and rescue the remaining kidnapped victims. According to the reasonable suspect, Harrison Gwamnashu was actually contacted to help capture the kidnappers. This statement probably indicated that he ought not to be surprised that some original money was removed from the bag by Harrison Gwamnashu, except he can explain better how he expected Harrison Gwamnashu to capture the kidnappers without acting intelligently. Harrison Gwamnashu had said that the reasonable suspect came with the money with a lot of young people who were with him in the hotel. According to Harrison Gwamnashu, he visited the hotel the reasonable suspect was. Harrison Gwamnashu, the founder of a registered private organization assisting the Nigeria security operatives with credible and reliable intelligence information that have led to the killing and arrest of several kidnappers in the West Africa country, especially in the South-South geopolitical zone of Edo and Delta states, in a video statement issued via his verified social media account a few hours ago, has said that the family member and a brother of the kidnapped couple who worked with him and his team to deliver the prepared sting operational 20 million nairas ransom to the kidnappers has been arrested alongside his gang members with guns. But, according to Harrison Gwamnashu, immediately the Nigeria police force noticed that he could vividly recognize the suspect as a brother to the kidnapped couple. The Nigeria police force quickly released the suspect and charged other members of his gang arrested in Auchi to court, even when the kidnapping involving the suspect's brother and wife is generating more reactions after the wife was set free by the kidnappers, while the husband, who is the suspect's brother, is still held in captivity till date by the kidnappers, since both were kidnapped in their home at Avili village in the Etsiko West local government area of Edo State in late days of November 2025. According to Harrison Gwamnashu, before the ransom money was delivered to the kidnappers inside the bush, the kidnappers made a phone call to the arrested and quickly set free suspect to give him the exact location to drop the money. He was surprised to hear one of the kidnapped victims, the husband still with the kidnappers, begging his brother, who is currently seen as the suspect behind the kidnapping, to forgive him if he has done anything wrong to him. The pleading shocked him, but Harrison said he decided to act as if he never heard anything. Harrison Gwamnashu added that the suspect, he was the family member that raised the alarm that the ransom money wasn't complete, that was the reason the kidnappers only released the wife and refused to set free the husband. Stating clearly that everyone who participated in taking the money to the kidnappers affirmed that the kidnappers never counted the money. That even if the kidnappers had counted the money, He prepared the money specially by only scattering the tracking devices on the dummy Naira notes that looked like original Naira notes in a manner that made the whole money complete. The family member who delivered the ransom to the kidnappers and some of his gangs were arrested with guns in Auchi by soldiers. The soldiers handed them over to Auchi Area Command. Auchi Area Command transferred them to Anti-Cultism Unit SCID Benin, and along the side, an order came that the boy should be released. Other people with him were charged to court and sent to prison. Same boy was with us in Auchi and knows our plans. I told the police my story. My statement is with the police. They did nothing. Continuing, Harrison Gwamnashu stated verbatim thus: "Good afternoon, my name is Harrison Gwamnashu. While I was in custody in State SID, Benin, at the CP's office, CP was in that meeting. The Chief of Staff to the Governor was in that meeting, the CSO to the Governor, Chief Security Officer to the Governor was in that meeting, the Commissioner for Security and Public Safety was in that meeting, the Head of Investigative Team was in that meeting, the family members were in that meeting, the wife of the man kidnapped was in that meeting, his brother was in."
Osazuwa Level, bringing you the news in a more digital way.